When doing hypothesis testing, why do we begin with the null hypothesis? We can learn the reason from the wisdom of Alice. That's Alice in Wonderland. After Alice tumbled down the rabbit hole, met the smoking caterpillar and the Cheshire cat, she eventually ended up in the croquet grounds of the Queen of Hearts. The Queen, fond of shouting,
"Off with his head!"
for any reason or no reason, later presides at a sham trial at which the king asks for a verdict before pronouncing sentence. The Queen shouts,
"Sentence first, verdict afterwards."
So what should we begin with? The verdict or the sentence? The conclusion or the evidence? The desired outcome or the facts? If we start with the conclusion and then look only for the evidence that supports it, we will do two things wrong. First, we will ignore evidence that does not support our desired conclusion. Second, we will be unable to learn something novel or surprising if what we assumed turns out to be not true. But when we begin with a falsifiable hypothesis, and then examine whether the evidence supports or refutes it, we are on much more solid ground, and our knowledge can grow a mile high. Becoming a good critical thinker demands that we require evidence for whatever we accept or believe. We do not accept claims of truth without sufficient convincing evidence, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Claims about the existence of ESP, ghosts, aliens, or the supernatural require evidence that is both clear and convincing. And this is especially so as we look at the history of supernatural claims. They have a long track record of being wrong, and most easily debunked with no more than a little common sense. Therefore, our first explanation for any outcome that we observe is chance. Because life can be weird. Unexpected things happen all the time, but we don't build our understanding of the world on outliers. Therefore, we assume that all outcomes, even the weird ones, are due to chance, unless demonstrated otherwise. Have you heard of beginner's luck? Sometimes you toss the basketball carelessly toward the basket and it goes in. Nothing but net. Sometimes your first shot hits the bullseye. The first stroke on putt-putt golf goes in, a hole-in-one. The first time that a person plays a game and wins, we might call it beginner's luck or chance. Of course, another explanation might be skill, innate talent, ESP, or cheating. But if someone succeeds on the first try, should we assume that he or she is a savant with unexplained natural talent? Or should we assume that he or she got lucky? Luck, or chance, is always the best first guess, until we have additional evidence to prove otherwise. Sometimes we draw a sample from a population, and the sample mean differs from the population mean. In fact, rarely will a sample statistic be exactly the same as its population parameter. When a sample mean, m, differs from its population mean, mu, our first explanation for why the means are different is chance. Chance reveals itself as sampling error, the natural and expected random variation in the world. Now, of course, another reason why an outcome might exist is because of skill, an actual difference, or an effect. The drug actually worked. Fertilizer caused the plants to grow. The class actually improved in knowledge. Steroid caused muscle growth. The lighting conditions improved performance. Any time that you find differences between two means, when m doesn't equal mu, there are two possible explanations. Possibility number one is that the difference was due to chance, and this is our default explanation. Possibility two is that the difference was due to an effect. The intervention actually worked. There are two possible explanations. So how can you tell which possibility is right? Remember that statistics don't prove anything. Most of the time, you cannot definitively tell which possibility is right, i.e., you cannot prove it, but you can say which possibility is more likely. Because we cannot prove why differences exist, instead we have to rely on probability. Which is the better explanation? The means differ because of chance, or the means differ because of an effect?